Good morning and welcome back to BIFA TV, your daily dose of industry information. The topic of today's episode is BIFA's Sustainable Logistics Policy Group. Today, Jamie McKean reflects on the recent meeting that took place and the topics that were discussed with Sam Warren from the Woodland Group.
Thank you for joining us, Sam. Great to have you back. So we've just had our most recent Sustainable Logistics Policy Group in early June, very well attended. I'd love you just to discuss some of the key discussion points at that meeting. What did we talk about?
Sure. Thank you for having me. So sustainable logistics is a huge topic. We cover all transport modes as well as just general corporate sustainability. So every meeting there's a huge amount of variety in what we discuss. At the most recent meeting, we discussed the electric infrastructure policy that's currently going on and the work the UK government are doing around that. And Voltempo gave a great presentation on that. We also spoke about SAF, book and claim, and expectations around that and how it's developing. There was also some general updates on the regulatory changes, the UK CBAM, the ETS, and I guess more, not so much regulatory, but also the Greenhouse Gas Protocol and SBTI's developments and what they're working on separately. And then finally, we also had the DFT attending, who wanted to talk to us about their modal shift program, which is really great to have government involvement in the meeting.
For you, what really stood out as a highlight from this session? What made you really think I need to go back to my organisation and implement this or read more widely about and research? Was there anything that really stood out to you?
As I mentioned, the DFT attended, and I think that was a really good discussion point. They're currently looking at their modal shift revenue support scheme. It's been kind of used in a very similar way over the last couple of years, but they're looking at revamping it and seeing how they can extend some of that support past just the rail operators, maybe down the chain to people like freight forwarders. And I think that's a really good opportunity. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. It's certainly something I'll share within my company.
Yeah, I mean, it's great to have DFT there. First time we had a government organisation represented at the group, so more of that to come, hopefully. So, Sam, one of the topics and modes that was discussed at the meeting was road freight, particularly the infrastructure behind road freight. Now, this has obviously become a real topic for government. They've just released £1 billion worth of funding, so it's of high priority. There's a number of grant schemes in place. For you, what has the policy group done in this aspect? How have we responded to the government's prioritisation of decarbonising road freight?
Sure. Yeah. So as you mentioned at the start of this year, the government released consultation on the future of HGV, particularly looking at the regulatory requirements around shifting to electric vehicles. We use the group, the policy group, as a space to provide industry feedback and to kind of look at how we can respond more generally across the industry. Our focus was to kind of request greater consistency and timescales within the grants that they're releasing. As you mentioned, they've kind of announced £1 billion of funding, which is really, really good to see. But one of the concerns we had with previous grants that they've announced is that they didn't earmark funds for SMEs or smaller operators in the UK. And that was one of the points we fed back. And actually what was good to see was when this £1 billion of funding was announced, there was a certain amount of funding that was earmarked for SMEs, which is really, really positive. But yeah, I think what I've noticed, and I think we both at least share this, is that we want to use the policy group as a way to kind of contribute to the progress that we're seeing in our industry. We're all very passionate about trying to do the right thing while still being a functional industry across the UK. And I think the policy group is starting to have impact of that. And certainly our responses to consultations, but also having DFT attend and stuff like that is proof that we're starting to move in the right direction.
So Sam, you've been chair of the policy group for a number of years now. You're doing a great job. Well, I say, what have you learned from being the chair and being involved in the policy group more widely?
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, I've really enjoyed chairing the meetings over the last few years. It's really great to have an impact on the industry outside of just my role at Woodland Group. I do believe that the challenge we face around decarbonising our industry is possible, but a massive challenge. And so trying to contribute to the wider industry impact and involve businesses of all sizes in trying to make progress happen is really rewarding. One of the things I've recognised is that the need for training is very much there across our industry. I think there's a lot that collectively we need to learn and figure out how to implement, and it's great to see that some of those actions are starting to be taken.
Yeah, and obviously BIFA is starting to produce its own content, Introduction to Sustainable Logistics on BIFA Bite Size, and we've partnered with the Smart Freight Centre and offered discounted sustainable logistics courses. So there's much more to come in that area. As you said, Sam, decarbonising logistics is a huge challenge. And say for one of our members who doesn't know much about it, is trying to get involved in it, wants to sort of dip their toes into sustainable logistics, What sort of advice would you give to them?
I think two things. Firstly, you mentioned the training that you've put together, and I think that's brilliant, and there's a huge amount of resource online to access. Secondly, I think that it's worth attending the meetings. Obviously, I'm biased, but I believe that collaborating and discussing some of these challenges and how we find solutions for them is one of the best ways to kind of make progress happen quickly. So yeah, please attend the meetings and join us in discussions.
As you said, Sam, it'd be great to see new BIFA members at the next meeting, which is on the 9th of September in central London.
Absolutely.
And thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
If you're interested in supporting BIFA's Sustainable Logistics Policy Group, please get in touch. The useful contacts can be found in the description below. That's all for today's episode of BIFA TV, your daily dose of industry information.